Hello, welcome pen friends. Welcome to another ink video. Today we're going to do TWSBI Orange. There are 6 of these TWSBI inks and they come in these little 18 ml bottles. And I just thought we're still in October as I'm filming this. It's way at the end of the month. It's the 29th as I'm filming it. So we're almost out of the orange month, but I like orange year round. So I thought we'd go ahead and do this today. So just in case you haven't seen my other video, this is how I got mine. I got the 6 ink set and I ordered it from Dromgoole's up in Houston, Texas. So they came in this little like cardboardy box with all of the 6 inks. So I just wanted to show you that in case you hadn't already seen that. Now, it's being circulated, it's being said that they're limited edition, but no one really knows for sure how long we'll be able to get our hands on the set. And I did notice that Goulet pens had temporarily sold out of the set, but they still had the individual ones. And there are a few other places that are that still have them. So, I mean, they still have them right now, October 2019. So let's dive right in here. And I always start in this Tomoe River journal. This is Tomoe River 68 GSM paper, dot grid paper. And here we go. Let's see. I never know whether I should hold it up or leave it alone so it doesn't bounce. Okay, so as I said, they're a limited edition, so the availability will change. I didn't want to go through the laundry list of where to get them because it's going to change as time goes on, and this video will still be up. But I got my 6 ink set from Dromgoole's in Houston, Texas for $34.99 for the 6 bottles. And they're also selling the bottles everywhere for that. And also $6.50 would be if you want just the individual bottle, which I think is so nice, so you don't have to lock into all the colors, because I'm reviewing them or I wouldn't have ordered all the colors. So here it's in the broad nib. It was taking about 35 seconds to dry, and I was seeing some very subtle but beautiful shading in there. I was really happy with that. And you can see it in the scribbles quite well. And then when I moved into the stub nib, the 1.5 Goulet stub nib, oh, it just even better. I liked it even nicer in there, especially on this paper. I really did like it. 35 seconds, it was almost dry. It was just a little bit wetter in that nib on this paper. And then here we are in the Lamy Fine nib. 20 seconds to dry. My first impressions, I just really like it. It's not as bright as Fire on Fire, and it's not even quite as bright as Diamine Pumpkin. It's got a darker saturation that reminds me of a Monteverde ink, and we'll see that in the comparison panel. But here is the chromatography. It was very straightforward. It just, you could tell what was going to happen next. So let's look at what happened next when I did the water test. Whoops. A little bit off today on my circulation there of where to put things. Okay, so it completely vanished. It's completely 100% typical fountain pen ink. TWSBI 1791. I keep forgetting to mention that that's part of the title of it. So you don't want to address envelopes with it, but it's going to be easy to clean out of the pens. And then just a little after report on the last ink, which was our shimmer ink, the brown shimmer ink by J. Erba. It got a B in the clean out because it was a pain to clean out. And I'm not sure that the pens, I mean, they look clean, but the particles that get left behind, even when you pull the nib and feed and do several flushes and so on, yeah, I'm just going to be honest. That's my experience. Now, I may need a little more experience in cleaning pens, but it didn't get a C, which would be really bad. It got a B because it was a pain to clean out. Okay, but let's look at our ink of the day, TWSBI Orange, in some more paper types. I'll try to leave that so you can still see it. Okay, we'll move right into the Rhodia dot grid, the 80 GSM Rhodia. Okay, here we go. Here it is in the broad nib, about 30 seconds, and it was dry. Again, I saw some shading that I liked. It's not what I'd call an intense shader, but I just love how it varies, where you can pick up on that lighter orange, and then the more saturated, darker orange comes out. Okay, very nice in the stub nib, although I was having a little difficulty with my nib, but I think that's a pen issue. And I just kind of persevered through it, and I'm going to try to ignore that because I don't think that is the ink. I think it's the pen, the nib, and so I'm just working on that. But 25 seconds to dry. I was having trouble holding it just right, which doesn't usually happen, but it could say a little something about the flow, and we'll talk about that more later. Okay, in the fine nib, 15 seconds was dry, 10 was almost dry. I said the stub nib struggled, felt dry, odd. Okay, so that's not something for us to get too worried about though, because it's just kind of early on in it. So let's grab, well, I'll put this here, I guess. That's what I plan to do, just in case you are able to see the difference in what the paper looks like. You may be able to. Okay, CVS Caliber paper, an inexpensive notebook, about $3. And it does tend to lighten inks, and I think we see that here. Definitely we see that it lightened the ink some. Okay, so here it is in the broad nib, taking 25 seconds to dry. The variation in, as far as shading, doesn't quite disappear, but it's very, it loses quite a bit, especially compared to the Tomoe River paper. Okay, then in the broad nib, the stub nib, 25 seconds it was dry. I liked it best in the broad nib. I did struggle a little with that, turning that nib. It wasn't coming right out like a fire hose like it normally does. So it's either the pen and nib, which could be, very well could be, or it may be just a little drier than some of the inks I've been using lately. Here it is in the fine nib, 20 seconds to dry, and it did lighten considerably. Like, I didn't like that. I liked it better on the Rhodia and on the Tomoe River paper. So that's a paper issue for sure. That is nothing against the ink. Best in the broad nib on the CVS. So that's just something that I note to self for me anyway. Okay, I did 2 more paper types because, well, these TWSBI inks, people are wanting to know, and here we go. We've got it on Leuchtturm 1917 dot grid, and this is a small pocket size notebook. And it just looked really nice on there. I think you can see this is more of an ivory paper. It's not white, but look at how nice that ink looks on there. Broad nib. I didn't do dry times on it. It tends to dry faster on this. And I wasn't seeing anything here that made me feel like it was super long or anything. So I just decided just to do the sample so you could see it. Whoops, that's wrong. That's supposed to say 1.5. Oh my goodness, that's an error. Oh, what happened to that pen? All right, she didn't want to start right up, or I had a kind of a holding it funny, I guess. All right, I'll have to be careful not to smear that, but I do want to remember years to come that that was a 1.5. And there it is in the fine nib. See, it still held up real nice. It didn't do the lightning thing that it did with CVS. And then there was no bleed through, so I was really excited about that. There's a little shadowing, but it's very, very subtle. I don't think that would bother anyone. Okay, one more paper type. That is 20-pound Georgia Pacific copy paper. And in the broad nib, we get spread and feathering. It's not the worst I've seen, but it's not cute either. And then in the 1.5 stub, spread, feather, whichever you want to call it. It's not like feathering out into, like a chicken, but it's definitely feathering. And then in the fine nib, not as much. Slight spread, I would call that. It makes it wider, makes the line width wider, but this is cheap copy paper. No bleed through though, and plenty of ghosting. So let's take a look at that. Yeah, plenty of ghosting, but really, I don't think it would really bother you that much. It probably wouldn't be writing on that back side though, because unless you were using this same ink, you would have bleed through probably. So, and with this one, you'd be okay. All right, so let's look on the back of the CVS real quick. Okay, just typical ghosting that we always get. It's a lot like Tomoe River paper. And then on the Rhodia, we'll look back on our brown shimmer ink there, and we don't see anything unusual about that at all. It just barely ghosts. I don't even think I'd call it ghosting. Okay, and then on the Tomoe River 68 GSM, course, we already have writing there, but that shows us typically what it would look like in the notebook, and there's just nothing to consider, I don't think. Okay, so let's just take a quick glance at the Tomoe River 52 GSM. That was a neat splatter. I like that. It does show how dark it gets and how it can go to that lighter, brighter orange. And that was the broad nib that I wrote it with. And of course, it's going to seep through. It's going to bleed through on this thin paper. So, okay, let's look at our comparison panel. I think that's going to be fun today. For my parts and pieces here. Okay. Hopefully we've got the right angle, but I may have to change it just a little, just to accommodate things. Okay, here we go. And then we need our ink of the day, because what can we do without that one? TWSBI 1791 orange. And this is, we're still in October, and I think of orange a lot in November too. Okay, I wanted to tell you before we start that I was reading on Dromgoole's website where I purchased the ink, and it said the name 1791 comes from a famous book written in 1791 in China called The Dreams of the Red Chamber. TWSBI chose the names for each ink from the book. Okay, so in English, it's just color names, they say. But in Chinese, which on the box, each ink color has the Chinese characters. Whoops. See that? But thankfully, they've given English names. So orange, pink, prairie green, emerald green, sky blue, and royal blue. But it does say that they're named after 6 famous buildings described in that book. 1791 is the name of the book. So I thought that little history was interesting. Okay, so when I first started this, and maybe even that first week, I thought that Tasha Dye Orange was going to be the closest. But now I'm thinking maybe Robert Oster Orange Zest might be the closest color. And it certainly comes in close to Monteverde Mandarin Orange. Although I think I see slight more saturation in the Mandarin Orange, and I've had this in a nib. And so just by memory, I remember it was quite saturated, quite dark, but nice though, still very orange, but on the darker side. Where we have Fire on Fire and Diamine Pumpkin are so bright down here on the bottom. The right below TWSBI Orange is Diamine Pumpkin, and Fire on Fire is in the bottom right corner. And then even Mont Blanc Lucky Orange, that's our brights. And Tasha Dye Orange is bright as well. But I really at first thought those two were going to be just like exactly the same, but I don't think so. I no longer believe that. Then Diamine Inferno is a shimmer ink. Let me hold it up so you can maybe see. That's a real shimmery, pretty orange. So that kind of changes things a little. And then we've got our oddball on the panel, Robert Oster Terracotta, but it's beautiful. But it goes almost over toward like Diamine Autumn Oak or something. And we're going to look at a few extra colors too, just to try to help us out here. So that you can position the ink in your mind better. And also, the whole purpose of me doing these videos is so that you'll know whether you want to sample. And I'm trying to do maybe a little bit more on this one because I'm not sure samples are going to be easy. The inks are already in small bottles and they're $6.50 each, but still, okay, here's Noodler's Habanero. See how much orange there is in there? I mean yellow, and it's I don't know if you'd call it warmer, but you can draw your own conclusions there. It's just a little different. And then we have Kaveco Sunrise Orange, which it gets deeper somehow, browner in a way. That's interesting. I like that ink, but if I'm reaching for a bright orange, that's not the one I'm going to choose. 2 of those, we don't need 2. Okay, well here we're going closer to yellow, and we've got Sailor Apricot, which we looked at just recently during 30 Inks 30 Days in September. And then we just got done with this Jacques Herbaz Orange Soleil, and that's brighter, so much so that it changes itself even more than Diamine Pumpkin or Fire on Fire. See, it's still what I would call orange, but it's lighter. It's pretty though. Okay. And then, Karen Dash Electric Orange. very similar to that one, only now we're veering back toward like Fire on Fire, Lucky Orange, more so. You see how much deeper the TWSBI orange color is. Okay, then we've got a couple that really go different, but still, KWZ Standard Monarch. That's a limited edition ink that I'd love to get my hands on some, but we're getting away from the bright orange there. We're getting, oh, I thought I had pulled out Autumn Oak, but I guess I decided that it was too far. Shoot, well that's too bad. It's probably right around here. Colorverse Martian is another one that, yeah, it's not bright orange. It's got orange characteristics and brown characteristics. Let me see. I should have just, I guess, showed them all. I know I had Autumn Oak around. Let's see if I can find it fast enough, or maybe it's just filed wrong. Could be. No, here it is. Okay. Never fear. You see, I have all these colors organized, and still I forgot one. Diamine Autumn Oak, which is a lot like Martian. You know, it's getting away from what we're looking at today, but still this might help you. If you have Autumn Oak, then you'll see how these others compare a little bit easier. There. Okay, so we have compared it for sure. Let's see what I thought of it personally. Of course, I've already purchased it. It's usually I'm dealing with a sample, so it's like I read this book once called Black Box Thinking, and it did teach that once we get our mind locked on something, we may not change our mind so easily, you know, and so we kind of support our original hypothesis. But anyway, I really like this ink, and I'm glad that I have it. It's very pretty. It's an intense orange with medium to light shading. Quite nice. So I thought the saturation was way up there. It was nice. It was like 7.5. The flow was just a little below where I desire it to be, but it was almost in that good average middle of the line. But I did put it down a little to 4.5. That's just an impression I have. The shading I thought was maybe 3.5. It's nice, but it isn't average good, where I could say, yeah, it's just a little below average. No bleeding, no feathering except for on the copy paper, but we don't do markdowns. I don't grade markdowns on copy paper. Dry time was average. That was perfectly acceptable. I didn't see sheen, halo, or shimmer. You know, whatever we saw here was pretty special, where it had the darker outlining, like shading and stuff. But other than that, I said overall 6.5, almost 7. I mean, really good. I mean, I will definitely use this ink. Whereas I'm worried about the pink one, because I don't think I'm going to be able to stand that one. I'll be looking for somebody probably to pass that on to as soon as I review it. The price is good. It's beautiful. It's saturated. I think I did once figure out the price per mil, but probably to be fair, I would have to go ahead and use $6.50 divided by 18, right? Yeah. If you bought it individually, you're looking at 36 cents per mil. And so we know, we've seen them higher than that. We've seen them lower, but that's where we're at. Okay, I thought maybe as one last thing, we would try the Nick Stewart technique on this ink. And I did pull out another one to kind of go with it. We'll see how we do with it. Oh, I got fresh water. Usually I have the orange water, but I think it was really, really ready to be changed, so I don't have it. Okay, and here's our last little experiment with the shimmer ink there. That was quite interesting. It dried funny, but it was fun to do anyway, so. Okay, here we go. I've got a broad nib, fine nib, a ton of orange inks to refile, and a small paintbrush for the black ink. Okay, today's ink and our auxiliary ink. All right, we shall get started. Okay, here we go. I'm wondering, I really am wondering. This is my first Nick Stewart technique with any TWSBI inks. I don't even have my vials labeled yet, but I have them all together with the little cap marking, so I won't get too confused. Oh, wow, look at that. Oh, that's nice. Sometimes I can't resist doing drip stuff like this. That is really pretty. Huh, no, I don't usually do that, but I thought that would be the way to go. Okay, let's see what happens when I bring in the broad nib. This is the Jinhao X750 with a Goulet broad nib. Huh. Oh, that's very, very interesting. Normally, is the pen behaving though? Pen might not be behaving. Remember, I had a hard start there a little while ago, which is a little unusual too. Okay, we have flow. I don't know what might be causing that, but let's just try again. I just had to prime the feed a little. Okay, it's just not real movable. It's not excited about doing that at all. Huh. Well, and we learn. Okay, let's get out our black ink. This paintbrush has already been... This is the Jacques Herbin Nor Abyssal black. Aha, now we can do something with that. That's moving. Very good. Well, we go from one extreme to the other probably, but that's okay. Huh. Actually, that's quite interesting, isn't it? I kind of like the idea that we don't ever know what's going to happen. Okay, let's do our... Oops. Oh, I can feel that that's going to move. It started, yeah, it's moving down like a echo. Okay, now I don't know if we're going to be able to get any orange to move. Maybe with that much water we will. Still a little timid, but we've got good flow. Everything's going okay with the pen. So sometimes I get paranoid, like, well, what have I done to the pen? Who knows, right? And anything could happen. Huh, that's neat. I would like it better if it would also go back up and do a little bit of blending, but probably just need to get out my water blending pen. Oh my gosh, could I be any lazier? Probably lost it. I have things everywhere, that's the problem. Make sure there's water in there. Yeah, there's water. Maybe just provide a little extra help there with the... because that ink doesn't want to move too much. Okay, but that's pretty. How about... Oh, that's where it's really at, is trying to get a little more black on there. Let's see. Yeah, I needed to have a pen inked up with the black, because that'll probably be too much. No, that's not bad. I like that. Not bad. Okay, let's see. I didn't think it would work because this is not the finest fine liner. Let me see. Or whatever they're called. Here's one. Here's a better one. Let's see. Just a tiny bit of ink is all we need, because normally it would be Lamy Fine Nib doing this job, but I have the orange and I already know it doesn't move much. It doesn't do too much for us, so that's not bad at all. I think that's really pretty. It kind of looks like a sunset almost. Okay, I think we'll leave it at that, just because this video is already long enough. So I've got to pull something out. Let's see the rest of those TWSBI inks. Where are they? Oh, I was taping all that time? Oh, that's embarrassing. Okay. Apparently I just hit pause and unpause and walked around my room, but that's okay. That's the way it goes sometimes. Okay, these are the ones that we have not reviewed yet. And of course we did the orange. So the orange is very beautiful, but we've got some more really pretty ones too. The pink one is very hard. It's camera shy. It comes across even lighter than it is, but yet it is pretty weak, but it comes across even weaker. And then we've got a beautiful purple, the emerald green, I guess they call it royal purple, prairie green, and sky blue are next. So I have not yet decided, that's how indecisive I am right now, as to what to proceed with, but I do plan to review all of these. So there's 5 left, and I'm just trying to avoid series of any kinds right now so that I don't feel like, oh, I'm not getting my series done. I want to do these other videos. So something will be next, and if I know me, it's probably going to be the purple, because I am really excited to try out the purple, and I know a lot of people love purple. And then this one really interests me too. It's very saturated, very dark. So I'll be back, and I would love to hear what you thought of the TWSBI orange. I know we've covered quite a few orange inks lately, so it might be getting a little old, but it's such a bright, cheerful color. So let me know in the comments if you'd like what you thought of it. And sorry about that gap where I'm, roaming around trying to find these cards. They were actually right up on my ink shelf because they have like celebrity status for a couple of days at least while they're new. I don't want to like file them all away and not be able to refer to them. So that's what I mean by that. Okay, I need to go because I'm sounding a little ink nutty. Bye for now.